Thanks, Ali, and thank you, Henry. Thank you for joining us back on stage at AHIC. Loved all the positivity there, and that we all need to become digital natives. Now, it gives me great pleasure for our next session to invite our next speaker, who leads the Ministry of Tourism's investment attraction with the aim of expanding Saudi's growing tourism sector. Please welcome the Deputy Minister of Tourism of Investment Attraction to the stage, Mahmoud Abdulhadi. Mahmoud, lovely to have you with us.
Morning, Joe. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Assalamu alaikum, Jamil.
So, Mahmoud, tell me, have you enjoyed the conference so far?
So far, yes. I think it's been a fantastic conference. Before I begin, at least, first of all, thank you for having me on stage. Thank you for having us at the conference today. And I think it's good to see a full room with people. So that's good. It's good to be back, I think.
It's great to have you with us. Now, tell me about the investment opportunities that the ministry has identified for domestic and international investors.
So first of all, let me start by saying that Vision 2030 has changed the way we do things in the kingdom, and it's realigned our priorities away from being purely dependent on oil and gas to becoming a much more diverse economy. Tourism is playing a key part in that. We want to become the second largest contributor after oil and gas with, by 2030, a 10% GDP. That's up from 3.6% today, roughly. So that attention, that focus on creating this new sector obviously breeds opportunity. Today, the government, through its various arms, be it the Public Investment Fund or the Giga projects or others, is spending upwards of $500 billion into the sector. And this is to create, if you like, that core identity for the Saudi tourism sector. Underneath that, there is ample opportunity for private sector investment. We still require a huge number of room keys by 2030. In all of the destinations that aren't the Giga projects, we need activations, we need F&B, and that's what we're working to attract today. We're building that infrastructure in order to make sure that we have a viable and sustainable, as well as investable, tourism environment in the kingdom. So just to say, in terms of size of opportunity, if we're talking about room keys specifically, I think the opportunity size between now and 2030 is around 400 or upwards of 400,000 room keys.
Right, and is your remit include the Giga projects, or is that somewhat separate?
So the Giga projects have their own governance. We as the ministry have a role to play in terms of making sure that everything from a strategic perspective is aligned. But our, shall we say, day-to-day role when it comes to developing the sector is to make sure we're focusing, like I said, on creating that private sector environment, a healthy private sector environment for investing into the kingdom. Under the ministry, of course, we also have the Tourism Development Fund and the Saudi Tourism Authority, and both of those play very key roles as well. The Tourism Development Fund is an enabler, a key financial enabler for the private sector into, or for private sector investment into the tourism sector. And the Tourism Development and the Tourism Authority, Saudi Tourism Authority, is responsible for that visitor journey from start to finish. So we're looking at it from a very holistic perspective.
Right. And how much of a competitive threat is Saudi as you grow your tourism industry to the region generally?
We're not a threat to anyone. But what we do is we complement the offering in the region. Ultimately, Saudi Arabia is the largest geographically. We are the largest economically. And from a destination perspective, a tourism destination perspective, Saudi Arabia is not one destination. It really is 8 at least. And we have an offering that no one else can offer. We have lush greenery in the mountains. We have beautiful beach destinations in the Red Sea. We have culture and heritage that extends thousands of years. We have the big metropolises in Riyadh and Jeddah. So it's a diverse offering. And this is what we offer that perhaps is unique to us, and that's our competitive advantage. in the region. So we complement what's going on already.
Okay, so we've seen how well you've done with the whole pandemic in terms of vaccinations and managing that whole situation. Tell us a little bit about the domestic tourism in the country and how you've done that, and has it been successful?
So the pandemic has hit our industry very, very hard. And that's been an unfortunate consequence, of course, of the way the pandemic has spread and the travel restrictions that have been put in place globally, not just for Saudi Arabia. However, the way we've, within Saudi Arabia, the discipline we've shown, both from a government and, shall we say, citizen and residents, has been truly impressive. And that's what's made us able to cope with the pandemic in the way that we did. That discipline has allowed us to open up some of our destinations for domestic tourism when we were closed to international visitors, and Saudis were not able to travel abroad for safety purposes. That has shown shall we say, hunger to explore the kingdom. I mean, I can say myself that before I took this job at the ministry, Saudi Arabia, as I knew it, extended to Riyadh, Jeddah, Dammam, Mecca. And in the time that I have been with the ministry, I have visited places like Asir, Al-Baha, Al-Jawf, Hail, Najran, Al-Ula, Al-Wajh. All of these places are absolutely fantastic. They are beautiful. And I think a lot of the Saudis have also discovered their country as well. So the pandemic has given us a bit of time to prepare these destinations, to raise our offering, to explore domestic tourism, and to really test that business case, if you like, where we wanted to know whether the domestic tourist would want to come and visit our destinations. And I think the answer was a very firm yes. We've seen spending upwards of 3 billion riyal in each of the seasons. So we had a summer season, we had a winter season, we had occupancy rates of, in some destinations, over 90%. So these are good indicators of demand, and it's been very positive for us.
That's excellent. Yeah, last time I was in Riyadh, I went to the edge of the world, which was just stunning, and I look forward to exploring more of Saudi next time I'm there.
Oh.
So moving on to the pipeline and the immense challenge that you have in front of you with employing people to the sector. I mean, I think you're looking to employ 1 million people in the next 10 years. How are you doing that? And what I'm really interested in, because we've seen it on the global stage, the difficulty of employing people into the hospitality industry and the way they've been treated as well, often. How are you encouraging the youth to come into the sector so you can make sure you provide the services that are needed for 2030 and this new pipeline of hotels?
So as you mentioned, I mean, one of our 3 key pillars for our strategy is 1 million extra jobs. I mentioned another one earlier, which is contributing or having tourism contribute 10% of our GDP by 2030. And I think the third one, which leads into your question, is becoming a top 5 destination globally with 100 million visits. And I think that target is what is going to spur the other 2 in terms of the GDP and the million jobs. The investment required, both from the private and the government sector, into our tourism infrastructure, because our infrastructure in terms of communication, power, water, that's all good. We have no issues with this. But what we need is the soft bits, the hotels, the F&B, the activations, the destination management companies. This is what we need to take up to a new level. These will naturally create employment in the sector and will require a demand for Saudis and non-Saudis, but Saudis primarily, because what we need to do is make sure that the visitor who comes to Saudi Arabia gets an authentic experience from a Saudi. We are hospitable. We have traditionally hosted, so travel and tourism to us is not new. I mean, we've traditionally been hosting millions of pilgrims for over 1,400 years in this land. So it is something that we are genuinely good at. We just need to make sure that people realize that this is not just our habit, our tradition, but is more of a career choice. It is more of a business opportunity. And what we are doing to support that in the background is making sure that we are creating the right training programs through our human capital development program. So we're creating right training programs. We're partnering up with international institutes to come in and provide training in the kingdom. So we've got a lot of effort that is being put into that, because we realize if our target to create 1 million additional jobs is to be met, we have to have a sufficiently trained population to be in order to do that.
And there must be an awful lot of pride as well from the Saudi youth wanting to show off their country.
It's amazing. I mean, look, the number of projects that I've seen that sit with an entity called Munshaat, which is the Small to Medium Enterprise Authority in the kingdom, that revolve around tourism, or that revolve around services that help our industry, is phenomenal. And the enthusiasm, the ingenuity, the just ability to deliver is fantastic. I mean, my team are currently working with a young startup, which is just, I mean, phenomenal. The guy, the gentleman, the young man, I should say, who's responsible for this idea, is so full of energy, and he's one example of many. And you know, it's tech-driven, it's very innovative, it will be a disruptor if it takes off. So these are the kinds of things that we see. So there is enthusiasm both from an intellectual perspective in terms of actually delivering new product, but also if you take a look at Al-Ula as a destination, the people that work in Al-Ula are all locals. They all come from Al-Ula itself. And as you mentioned, the pride and the enthusiasm to show off Al-Ula and its treasures is so evident, and it just really adds to the environment and to the visitor experience.
Okay. What have been some of the transformations or market trends during the pandemic that you've seen that you're probably paying more attention to now than you would have before?
I think the major trend is sustainability. And the comment I would make onto your question is that it isn't something that we've identified in the pandemic. This is something that was core to our strategy that came before the pandemic. However, it has taken on a slightly different meaning during the pandemic. And what we've seen is that travelers today are very, very keen on what destinations and countries are doing for sustainability. The way we view sustainability is it's a very holistic view of what it is. We look at social sustainability, environmental sustainability, as well as economic sustainability for the sector. So the environmental sustainability piece is extremely important to us. We realize that we have these beautiful destinations. They remain relatively untouched, and we want to keep them that way, because if they are tampered with or if they are abused in any way through irresponsible development or poor regulation, we realize that the offering falls away, because what we have is genuinely unique. On the social sustainability piece, we're creating an additional 1 million jobs in the sector. We're trying to train as many Saudis as we can to come into the sector. We have a very clear target of how we want to do that. And you know, that will create employment opportunities. It will create social mobility in destinations that haven't necessarily seen traditional, you know, industrial and business-based investment. And on the economic sustainability, again, it's all about contributing to GDP growth and creating a private sector that is successful and profitable in this space.
So it's not just the giga projects, because we hear about the focus on sustainability from Red Sea, from DGDA, from Alula.
Yep.
So it's covering the entire country.
Absolutely. I mean, that sustainability piece is really the core of our strategy. It's the core of what we want to do in tourism. We want to become world leaders when it comes to sustainable tourism. And all of the projects that you've seen, you know, and I'm sure you've heard John Pagano speak, and I'm sure you've met our friends at NEOM in the booth outside. Sustainability is at the heart of what we're doing, and this is just, it's the whole system.
That's fantastic. All right. Just very quickly on leisure tourism and business travel, how much are you focusing on business travel?
So business travel, Previously, Saudi Arabia was known for basically 3 types of travel. The first type is obviously I don't like this term, but it's our religious tourism, so religious visits. The second is been traditional business tourism, and family and friends, people traveling around in the country visiting their family and friends. We want to take our visitation numbers to 100 million visits by 2030. 37 million of that will come from or for religious purposes, with the remainder being business, leisure, family and friends, etc., and on all the other purposes. For business specifically, we want to revamp what business means, because traditionally business travel in the kingdom was, I come to a meeting, I stay a day if I need to because my flight can't get out quickly enough, and then I leave. What we want to do is say, no, we want to create a business plus, shall we say, offer where we're talking about conferences. We're talking about there is a reason for someone to come in and say, you know what, instead of coming in on a Monday, let me delay my trip to a Wednesday. I stay Thursday and take a long weekend because I've got the opportunity to do that. So this is how we're thinking about business travel. Changing the purpose slightly. The traditional business will be there. I mean, Riyadh ultimately will become a city of 15 million people. It will become a hub in the region. The government has recently mandated that any business that is to be done with the government, the regional headquarters for that business has to be in Riyadh. So these are the kinds of things that are driving growth. That'll drive business, but it'll also drive the business travel and purpose that we're looking for.
Okay, fantastic. And I see we've run out of time. So where can we learn more about the opportunities, investment opportunities in Saudi at the moment? Who do we approach?
So you can definitely come and see us. Our door is always open. We are definitely open for business. We're very, very serious on delivering our mandate. And just to remind everyone what that mandate is, it is creating that environment. So we are willing to work with potential investors. We're willing to work with operators. We're willing to work with any party that wants to enter the market. And our efforts will extend to ensuring that regulation is conducive to doing business, that we are making sure that people are partnering up with the right entities, that they are selecting the right projects, making land available. So we're definitely open for business. We're definitely here. Come and see us. If you don't catch me today, my contact details should be somewhere on the app, so come and find us.
Mahmoud, thank you so much. Please show your appreciation to Mahmoud Abdulhadi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.